this episode of the Harpreet Singh Show. I'm your host Harpreet Singh from Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. In today's program, my guest is Sqn Ldr Nusrat Hussain, who's a retired Air Force officer of the Pakistan Army. Apart from that, he's an author also, a political commentator, and especially the region, what we are focusing on today is Afghanistan. In the past also, what has happened in this region, and especially with the withdrawal of the American forces from there, what ramifications it can have in that region, that's what our focus has been. So in this series of talks, we'll be getting him over here and talking on different aspects as to how the withdrawal and the present situation in Afghanistan can lead to a political stability in that region or instability in that region. So let's welcome Sqn Ldr Nusrat Hussain and continue with our discussion. Sqn Ldr Nusrat Hussain, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Arpit. Thank you very much for having me on your program.
Thank you. Today I would like to focus, sir, on the history of this region. This region is very important for all the superpowers. And we have seen in the past how Russia wanted to have its foothold over here, and then the Americans came. But what we have seen is that anybody who has come in this region has to go back from here without winning that area. So can you take us in the past and tell us the history of this region?
Well, Harpreet, to start with, we have to understand Afghanistan. It is a landlocked country and it is bordering Iran, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Pakistan. The, and it doesn't have direct access to warm waters. And Russian invasion in this region was only, that is why the Pakistani forces joined the US to stop Russian invasion because after this, the next target would have been Pakistan, from where they could have access to the warm waters. So Afghanistan itself doesn't have any such thing which we can say is some like oil or gas
Hmm.
that should have been of any interest for the Western countries to come and occupy this area. But from here, because Turkmenistan and Iran, they are the two countries which are second and third largest countries having resources of natural gas and oil, and a pipeline through this area. That is the only way to get a pipeline from this area and go to the Western world. So that appears to be the most important reason that why this part of the world has been of so much interest for the Western world.
Hmm. Right. So, as you have said, it's a landlocked country, but again, when we see that the superpowers have always tried to focus in this region, though there is no gas here or no other resource over here. So, what do you think? Why is it? And it's not just the Russians only or the Americans. We see if we go to the past also, this has been an area which has been used to enter into India, whether it was the Persians or whether even if we go to Alexander the Great, this was the route which was taken by them. And this was a central point. Even the Sikh kingdom which existed earlier, the headquarters used to be Kabul only. So can you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, actually, it is very interesting to note that even Alexander the Great in 329 BC, he came into this area and conquering. He's one of the world conquerors. Then Mahmud Ghaznavi came here in 11th century, who's also considered as a not as a world conqueror, but as a big conqueror of that area. Genghis Khan also came here in 13th century, and then even Maharaja Ranjit Singh, he was the ruler of Punjab who actually defeated the Afghans in 1839. And then in the 19th century, Britain came to protect its Indian empire, and they fought a series of Afghan wars with the Afghans. And in the last war of 1921, they were also defeated. Then in 1926, Amanullah declared it, and he became the Afghanistan Then in 1933, Zahir Shah became the king.
Mhm.
Then Afghanistan was formally recognized by the United States of America in 1934. And after 1947, when the British withdrew from Afghanistan, and Pakistan and India were created as two independent states. So that time, a former division known as Durand Line
Mhm.
that was accepted as a border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. In 1953, the Soviet General Muhammad, the pro-Soviet General Muhammad Daoud Khan, he was cousin of the king. He became the prime minister, and then he looked towards the communist nation for economic and military assistance from Russians. Then in 1963, it's kind of some historical facts that I have gathered, and I'm trying to tell you that how things have been going on in Afghanistan. Daud Khan became in 1973. Daud Khan became he took over from King Zahid Shah and declared it as a People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan. So he came to power. Now 75, 77, then 78, he is killed in a communist coup, and Mr. Muhammad Noor Taraki, he took over
Mhm.
as one of the founding members of the Afghanistan Communist Party. So Afghanistan has been, they have been ruling it continuously, between the kings, the Communist Party, the
Mhm.
Democrats, and ultimately, when in 1979, in late 1979, the Russians came into Afghanistan,
Mhm.
and as I said before, that is what their desire was, to reach the warm waters,
Right.
and could have been through Afghanistan and then in
R-
Pakistan. Americans helped creating those mujahideen and Al Qaeda
Mhm.
to fight Russians. At
Right.
that time, they were called mujahideen because they were fighting the infidels, the Russians.
Right. So,
Mujahideen means
so,
the
so, Mr. Nusrat Hussain, this before the Russian invasion, we see that Afghanistan was a free country, an open-minded society. But the Talibization of this country started after that. And what all happened over there, and especially now, when the situation we see that after 20 years, American forces are withdrawing from there, what impact it will have in that region, how India had very good relations with Afghanistan since the beginning, and was it a threat to Pakistan, and what were the relations with Pakistan? So we'll focus all these aspects after this short commercial break. We'll be shortly back.
ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਰੀ, ਡੈਲਟਾ, ਰਿਚਮੰਡ, ਐਬਸਫੋਰਡ ਜਾਂ ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵਾਂ ਘਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ? ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਤਜਰਬੇਕਾਰ ਬਿਲਡਰ, ਇੱਕ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਿਵ ਇੰਟੀਰੀਅਰ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਰ ਦੀ, ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਗਾਈਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੁਪਨੇ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਉਸਾਰ ਸਕਣ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਜਾਂ ਸੰਦੀਪ 6048259295 ਉੱਤੇ।
ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਵੇਂ ਤੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਸਟੋਵ, ਅਵਨ, ਫ੍ਰਿਜ, ਵਾਸ਼ਰ ਡਰਾਇਰ, ਮਾਈਕ੍ਰੋਵੇਵ, ਫ੍ਰੀਜ਼ਰਸ ਜਾਂ ਡਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ਼ਰ, ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਮ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਤੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ 3 ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚਸ ਸਰੀ, ਐਬਸਫੋਰਡ ਤੇ ਚਿਲਵੈਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਨ। ਇੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਮਿਲਣਗੇ। ਇਹ ਡਿਲੀਵਰੀ ਤੇ ਇੰਸਟਾਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਪੈਕੇजेस ਫॉर ਬਿਲਡਰਸ ਐਂਡ ਹੋਮ ਓਨਰਸ। ਕਾਲ 6045904140 604 590 4140।
है जुल्म ढाने का अंदाज भी कितना हंसी, हमारी जान पर बनाई है जब जब उसने अंगड़ाई ली। कभी खामोश रहते हैं, कभी शोर होता है। मोहब्बत में शरारत का मजा कुछ और होता है। दिल को जज्बात का तोहफा, खामोशियों को बात का तोहफा, खूबसूरती में जड़ी नजाकत अदाओं की चांद से मुखड़े को चांद सा तोहफा।
भारत ज्वेलर्स, सच्चे प्यार की चमक जैसा। पायल बिजनेस सेंटर सरी।
ਛੋਟੇ ਘਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟਸ ਤੱਕ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰਨ ਲਈ ਮਸ਼ਹੂਰ ਹਨ ਜੇਰੇ ਸਟੋਨ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਵਾਲੇ। ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਟ੍ਰੈਡੀਸ਼ਨਲ ਕੰਟੈਂਪਰੇਰੀ ਜਾਰਜੀਅਨ ਮਾਡਰਨ ਲੁੱਕ ਦੇਣੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਜੇਰੇ ਸਟੋਨ ਨੂੰ, ਜੋ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਾਬਲ ਸਟਾਫ ਨੂੰ ਭੇਜ ਕੇ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਐਸਟੀਮੇਟ ਦੇਣਗੇ। ਸਟੋਨ ਟਾਈਲਸ, ਅਰਬਨ ਸਟੋਨ, ਮੋਲਡਿੰਗਸ, ਐਕਸੈਸਰੀਜ਼, ਪਿਲਰਸ ਆਦਿ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਸਟਾਲ ਕਰਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਮਹਾਰਤ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਨ। 25 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਵਾਰੰਟੀ, ਮੇਨਟੇਨੈਂਸ ਫ੍ਰੀ, ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਅਪਰੂਵਡ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਵੇਖੋ। ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 6046149231 ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ यूनिट नंबर 500, 1515 ब्रॉडवे स्ट्रीट, पोर्ट कुकटलम। Once again, welcome back to the program. This program is being brought to you with the support of AMC Insurance. If you're looking for home, auto, travel, business, life or recreational insurance, you can depend upon them. They have 9 branches in the lower mainland to serve you, and they're open 7 days a week from 8:30 a.m. onwards till 9 p.m. Phone number is 604-507-6666. Our next sponsor is Agnihotri Immigration Consulting. If you want to know about temporary status, you want to know about PR-ship, you are wanting to come to Canada and you are an international student here, you want to hire foreign workers, you want to know about express entry or sponsor parents or grandparents, Neera Agnihotri, who has been a certified immigration consultant since 2006, can help you. Call her at 604-597-2284. For honest and reliable information, depend upon Neera Agnihotri, 604-597-2284. My guest today is Sqn Ldr Retired Nusrat Hussain, and we are talking about the situation in Afghanistan. He talked about the historical importance of this region, but presently what is the situation over there and how this can have an impact in the region. That's what the focus of this talk is today. So sir, before the break, what we were talking about is that India has had very good relations with Afghanistan. What about Pakistan? While you talked about the Russian forces when they came, because India was aligned with Russia at that time in '79, but later on the configurations have changed now. Now we see that India is being closer to United States. So during this period, how was Pakistan impacted by this Russian invasion? Because we see that lots of migrants had immigrated from or came into Pakistan from Afghanistan. Could you elaborate on that, please?
When Russian forces came into and the fighting started in Afghanistan, so the people started fleeing, and a lot of those people, about 4 to 5 million people, they migrated to Pakistan, and it was a huge expense on the economy of Pakistan. United Nations initially helped, and although the war has ended, but still is housing about 3 million Afghan refugees as we speak now, which is a great concern for the economy, as well as there are incidents of terrorism which are done by people they come under the blanket of these refugees, and they create so much of in Pakistan. And by the way, India had about 19 consul offices in Afghanistan just recently. Now they have started abandoning Afghanistan because of the American withdrawal. So Pakistan was also very concerned about these consul, the requirement, the need for these consul generals. According to Pakistanis, it was concerned that there were concerns. They were saying that Indian raw agents are employed in these places, and they are helping those terrorists who are coming and creating chaos in Pakistan. So for this reason, Pakistan, it has been a very, very big concern for Pakistan's own sovereignty and security. That's why, as I told you earlier in the last program, that Pakistan has developed and established a huge line of fence by fencing the borders.
Right.
Fence border they have created.
So those people who had, who came from Afghanistan into Pakistan, did the majority of them stay back, or did they go back to Afghanistan?
In Pakistan, a system, weak system, where these Afghans have most of them they have now made the Pakistani identities, their ID cards have become money, and it's all possible, it's bribery and a corrupt system prevailing in Pakistani society. So most of them have established their businesses. and they are good Afghans. It's not like that, every Afghan is not a good person, just like any other countries. There are people, but in under the blanket of that Afghanistan identities being made in Pakistan. So all the terrorist activities that happened, and just recently now they have unearthed a bomb in Lahore,
Mhm.
which happened just recently in Lahore, and Pakistani agencies have got hold of all the culprits, and they are pointing towards India that RAW was probably behind these
Mhm.
all these terrorist activities.
Right. So, Squad Leader, sir, tell us that why do you feel that Pakistan and Afghanistan relations have not been going smoothly? Is there any particular reason for that? Was the influx of people one major reason, or there is some other reason that relationship between Afghanistan and Pakistan has been mostly in the cold?
It is primarily because Ghani is now the president of Afghanistan, and Ashraf Ghani is against the Taliban forces.
Mm-hmm.
And Taliban were created, of course, initially by Pakistan and rest of the Western countries. So they have a sympathy with Taliban and Pakistan. They enjoyed a sympathy in the past,
Mm-hmm.
but now with this recent government of Imran Khan, they have taken a very clear stance, and they want to be out of this mess. They
Mm-hmm.
don't want to keep Pakistan suffering because of turmoils in Afghanistan. And it's not possible that turmoil of Afghanistan would not affect Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
Pakistan has a very long border, more than 2,500 kilometers border, and it was a very porous border. People could It's densely forested and huge rugged mountains, so it was very easy for the people to go, and they have been traditionally using that border without any visas or any control.
Mm-hmm. So, due to some technical difficulty, we were not being able to connect. My question to you, sir, is that we have seen that in the past, Pakistan was used as a pawn by the superpowers, and now that the situation is changing now, U.S. forces are withdrawing from Afghanistan. What do you feel? Which way are we heading to this region? Will there be stability, or this can further create tensions in the area?
I think the way US is abandoning Afghanistan right now, they are doing the same thing which they did before. And if you remember, Hillary Clinton had very openly admitted that it was Americans' fault that they came out of Afghanistan abruptly and they left everything in chaos. Hillary Clinton admitted it that it was their mistake, American mistake, and that is why after that more chaos prevailed in Afghanistan. And they are almost repeating the same thing. But this time, you're right, Pakistan has been used as a pawn. And but it's not only that Pakistan was used as a pawn. It was also because it was very it brought a threat to very existence of Pakistan also. So they had no other choice. These small countries, they have to become part of one of the superpowers. It is same is happening now in India. The situation has changed. Now this time, Pakistan is more inclined towards China, Russia, and that bloc,
Right.
and India has taken a different route towards the American bloc.
Mm-hmm.
So but it is going to create confusion. But Pakistan, the actions they are taking in Pakistan, they are trying their best to keep the border secure from Afghanistan, from
Mm-hmm.
where all the terrorist activities and all those activities which are harmful to Pakistan,
Right.
they come through that way, and that is what they are trying. But it is a very difficult. The more chances are this that it is going to create more turmoil in the region, in the area. It's not going to be easy for Pakistan, which is already struggling economically.
Mm-hmm.
So all these factors are going to affect, and it will create more chaos and confusion. And then ultimately, because all this game is being played, if you look from the top,
Mm-hmm.
the upper picture, it is all just to restrict China and to trap China
Right.
by the American and Western countries. They see it as a big threat. Chinese progress economically, because the difference between Americans and Chinese is now we can at least analyze for the time being that wherever Americans have gone direction. Look in the Middle East. You talk about Iraq, Syria, Egypt, and all those areas. They are creating destruction. Libya. These countries were much better before American invasion or American interference in those countries.
Right.
And same is going to happen here in Pakistan.
Hmm.
But Pakistanis times have changed because of the social media and because of Imran Khan on the, I might appear biased towards Imran Khan
Right.
because, you have to be biased. I'll try to take a natural or unbiased stance after looking at the things. It is because of Imran Khan that so much has changed in Pakistan. That response of Pakistani foreign ministry.
Right.
Now they have openly also they have blamed India for their foreign office. Yesterday they held some press conferences for those bomb blast which
Right.
happened in
I
Lahore.
will come to this in the last segment. So basically, though American forces have withdrawn, but the interest of United States in this region still remains strong, and they would not like to have China or Russia take control of this area. So situation is just the forces are withdrawn, but their interest still remains intact. And what can that result in? Especially India and Pakistan, who always indulge in blame games, because in Jammu, when there was a drone attack, Pakistan was labeled as they are the ones who have got this attack done, and now in Lahore, that blast, India is being blamed. So this blame game continues, but especially in the coming months, what do you foresee with the situation still fragile? What all can lead it to, and what precautions need to be taken? We'll ask you about this after the short break.
ਕੁਦਰਤ ਦੇ ਸੌਮਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਆਯੁਰਵੇਦਾ ਰਾਹੀਂ 5000 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਬਣਾਏ ਗਏ ਹੈਲਥ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਅਪਰੂਵਡ 100% ਸ਼ੁੱਧ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਡਾਇਟਰੀ ਸਪਲੀਮੈਂਟਸ ਦਾ ਲਾਭ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸਟ੍ਰੈਸ, ਐਂਗਜ਼ਾਇਟੀ, ਇਨਸੋਮਨੀਆ, ਬਲੱਡ ਸ਼ੂਗਰ, ਕਿਡਨੀ, ਬਲੈਡਰ, ਹਾਜ਼ਮਾ, ਆਈਸਾਈਟ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਦਾ ਆਰਗੈਨਿਕ ਇਲਾਜ, ਜੋੜਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਦਰਦਾਂ ਤੇ ਸਰੀਰਕ ਮਸਾਜ ਲਈ ਕਈ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੇ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਤੇਲ ਵੀ ਉਪਲਬਧ ਹਨ। ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ 604 628 2003।
ਘਰ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਨਿੱਜੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਸੁਨਹਿਰੀ ਪਲ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਜੀਵਨ ਬਤੀਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਦ ਕਿਸੇ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨੂੰ ਸਜੇ ਹੋਏ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਬਦਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ। ਨਵੇਂ ਘਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਰੇਮਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਨਿਸ਼ਿੰਗ ਤੱਕ, ਡ੍ਰੇਪਰੀ, ਪੇਂਟਿੰਗਸ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਡੈਕੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਅਸੈਸਰੀਜ਼ ਤੱਕ, ਤੁਸੀਂ SK ਹੋਮ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੁਪਨਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਹਕੀਕਤ 'ਚ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ 6048259295।
ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ? ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਓਨਰ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਉਦਾਹਰਨ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਾਰ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਖ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਸਰੀ ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲੋੜ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜੀਂਦੇ ਟਰੱਕਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗਾਈਡੈਂਸ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸਪੇਸ, ਮੋਡੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਫਿਊਲ ਐਫੀਸ਼ੀਐਂਸੀ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਟਰੱਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਟੌਰ।
Once again, welcome back to the program. This program is being brought to you with the support of Best Home Kitchen Cabinets. ਘਰ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਾਨ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਚਨ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਸੋਨਾ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਸਟ ਹੋਮ ਕਿਚਨ ਕੈਬਨਿਟਸ ਲੋਅਰ ਮੇਨਲੈਂਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਜਾਣੀ ਪਛਾਣੀ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਹਨ। ਕਸਟਮ ਹਾਈ ਐਂਡ ਘਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਮਲਟੀ ਯੂਨਿਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟਸ ਇਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਕੈਬਨਿਟ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਬੈਸਟ ਹੋਮ ਕਿਚਨ ਕੈਬਨਿਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖੋ। ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਸੁਰਜੀਤ ਤੇਸੀ 6045918171। Our next sponsor is Day-to-Day Wholesale Cash and Carry. This is British Columbia's largest South Asian grocery store where you can buy groceries, party-wear, kitchenware, homeware at wholesale prices. More than 5,000 products are displayed on the shelves, and products from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka can be found over here. For best prices, unique grocery buying experience and high quality products, come to 7843 128th Street, Surrey. Phone number is 604-503-8787. My guest today is Sqn Ldr Retired Nusrat Hussain. We are talking about the fragile situation in Afghanistan, especially in view of the United States forces withdrawing from Afghanistan. So sir, as I asked you before the break, the situation is changing. Though American forces are being withdrawn from there, but America's interest is still intact. And as you said, China and Russia are coming up over there. And this alliance which is coming up is creating a different kind of world. What do you foresee? what kind of situation can we foresee in the future, and especially India and Pakistan relations? Will they further go down, or you think there is some scope of improvement?
I think if they want to sort out the problem, Pakistan and India, and if you remember just recently, two DGMIs, they sorted out the situation, and the border is so calm now. You know, there were so many skirmishes and going across the borders. But the two, and so if there is intent, sincere intent, you have to address the main issue between India and Pakistan. Pakistan and India has nothing else other than the Kashmir issue. If Kashmir issue is
Yeah, your voice is getting cut, Mr. Hussain.
sorted out amicably to the
Sir, your voice is getting cut. I'm sorry, we're not being able to hear you.
yeah, I think we do not have a good connection
Yeah,
today.
now it's fine. Now it's good enough. Yeah, so you were talking about
Oh,
that
okay.
if there is a good intention between both the countries, but that intention doesn't seem to be there, because no
Yeah,
doubt when Prime Minister Imran Khan became the Prime Minister, he offered his hand of friendship, but that was rejected by India. And after that, we have seen skirmishes and even blame game of these new attacks, the drone attacks in India and the bomb blast in Pakistan, and especially the situation in Afghanistan now. So, what do you feel now? Will these superpowers pressurize these countries to go in for peace, or they will try to again use them as pawns for their own interests?
yeah, these superpowers will use us as far as India and Pakistan give them a chance to use them.
Mm-hmm.
There is a long history because between India and Pakistan. There is a mistrust between India and Pakistan, and both are rightly in their own point of view. They are right because what India did in Bangladesh and then what Pakistan did in Kargil was basically the same because of the mistrust, and this mistrust has to develop how these two countries, how these the political leaders, they can change that whole concept and bring some trust. But with Modi's government in India and Imran Khan's government in Pakistan, it has become very difficult now because Imran Khan has taken a real stance and he says that unless you don't withdraw that 370 in Kashmir and don't change the position of Kashmir territory,
Mm-hmm.
up till that time they are not going to, he's not going to come on the dialogue table.
Right.
So the root cause remains unless change.
So both the countries are not going to go back from what they have said. But then with Afghanistan right now, what we are seeing, and as you mentioned about 17 of Indian officers over there, but now with the situation changing and US withdrawing, but India is now getting closer to United States. So do you think that as that suspicion which remains between India and Pakistan regarding India's role in Afghanistan, and how it has been claimed that India has been trying to infiltrate terrorists into Pakistan from there. So, do you think that with this changing situation, there will be some change over there, or this will also continue the way it is?
I don't think it is going to help right now
Mm-hmm.
because of this all mistrust and so much of things going on between India and Pakistan. What India is trying to do, or the Americans are trying to do, they are trying to exploit the situation in Afghanistan by sitting out of Afghanistan.
Hmm.
And Pakistan is big, and whatever situation is exploited, that is going to harm Pakistan. That is going to be against the interest of Pakistan. So what Pakistan is doing, Pakistan is trying to neutralize those efforts, but it's not going to be an easy thing. Whenever you are fighting these forces, or whenever you are engaging them, or whenever you are trying to protect yourself, certainly there will be issues that they will keep coming up, and it will create chaos within on the borders and between the two countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, I hope that things are resolved in a peaceful manner, in a civilized manner. But looking at the history and looking at the situation, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that we are going to have some good I don't foresee good relations between India and Pakistan.
But do you also expect a full-fledged war between both the countries? Because what we saw earlier last year with China, India had skirmishes, India had fight, and again, Pakistan, if this war in any way happens, will be supporting China, and on the other hand, US will be supporting India, and of course, that can lead to a chaos in that region. It's very unfortunate that both the countries right now under both the leaders are facing turbulent times. Inflation is at its all-time high. People are really at the receiving end. But despite resolving these issues, still both the countries are using each other as blame game centers. So, do you also expect that there can be a full-fledged war?
Full-fledged war in this period and this time, I don't foresee that there could be a full-fledged war, but you never know when it hits the flashpoint and they can go in a war. But the war is going to be a very, very terrible thing that is going to happen this time because it is because of there is no defense pact between China and Pakistan that they will fight if they are attacked by Indians. The one country is attacked, the country will go into war. But there are all the chances, and there are all the probabilities with Pakistan and China carrying out so many joint exercises together, having so many contacts together. So if Americans and would like, because the whole game is to trap China, and China can only be trapped through India. But China has done so much work in Pakistan and put so much interest in Pakistan that their interest, economical interest, has become, it's their joint interest.
Right.
So they are going to protect each other. And if two-front war opens, it's going to be very, very difficult for India. But I don't think Indians are not mindful of that, and they are not. I hope that they will not fall a prey to American desires and
Right.
getting
And
into a war with China.
right. One last question is about absolutely not. That statement of Prime Minister Imran Khan given to United States for not allowing them to use their land. Uh, has after that statement there has been a lot of turmoil in the relations between Pakistan and US, but is something cooling down, or still it is still hot, and this will further lead to differences between Pakistan and US?
That absolutely not is basically has become a top trend on Twitter and on social media because it was something which was never said before. Actually, so far, Americans have not formally asked for a base in Pakistan, but the question was answered by Imran Khan in a way that that has been exploited everywhere. You know, all the Imran Khan lovers, and in Pakistan, people who think that Pakistan has shown some integrity as compared to the past. So, for the time being, it is just a trend, and it is just a morale booster for Imran Khan supporters in Pakistan. But in practical, I don't think it means anything because they have not asked for any bases in
Okay,
Pakistan.
right. Sqn Ldr Nusrat Hussain, thank you very much for your time, for sharing your views about the present situation in Afghanistan and how this can have a great impact in the region. You took us historically, you gave us the facts, and presently what the situation is, and we hope better sense prevails and things get to normal. Thank you very much towards the end.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So this was our guest, Sqn Ldr Retired Nusrat Hussain, who lives in Surrey, British Columbia. And whenever we have to talk about this region, about Pakistan, India, or the region where the situation goes to a flashpoint, we get him to talk about his unbiased views about the region. So if you want to contact him, you can give us a call at 604-603-7555, or you can email me anytime, anywhere from the world, at harpreetsingshow@gmail.com. The purpose of this program is to educate you, inspire you, and to empower you. And every evening from Monday to Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have different guests who talk about different issues. So you can also be a part of this program. Thank you very much to our viewers for sparing their valuable time and listening to us. And if you have any topic in mind, you can contact me. Have a safe evening, stay healthy, and enjoy yourself. ਕਾਸਾ ਟਾਈਲ ਅਤੇ ਸਟੋਨ ਸ਼ੋਰੂਮ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਟਾਈਲਸ, ਸਟੋਨ, ਮਾਰਬਲ, ਬੈਕਸਪਲੈਸ਼, ਮੋਜ਼ੇਕ ਆਦਿ ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਟਾਲੀਅਨ, ਸਪੈਨਿਸ਼, ਚਾਈਨੀਜ਼, ਪੋਰਸਲਨ ਜਾਂ ਸਿਰੈਮਿਕ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਜਾਂ ਮਾਰਬਲ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਆਰਡਰ ਤੇ ਜਾਂ ਕਲੀਅਰੈਂਸ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਮਾਲਕ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਇੰਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਜਿਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ 13042 84 ਐਵਨਿਊ ਸਰੀ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 604 330 7363 604 33